It is Labor Day weekend and we are up in the mountains of Arizona at my parents' house, and we are going to show you how to harvest and process corn. So the first step in processing corn is to pick it, and you got to know when it's ripe, and I'll let my parents show you how to pick your corn so you know that it's ripe.
The silk here is brownish, and it's rounded down at the bottom and it's firm. That means it's ready to pick. Show you one that's not ready. Let me show them one that's not ready. See, this one's ready. See, that one's ready.
So how can you tell it's ready again?
It's got the brown silk has come off. It's blunted at the top. It's nice and fat in the middle. And it's ready to go. This one's not ready because the silk is whitish, green. It's not blunted. And it's not fat. It's not ready.
So you touch it and see how it's tight down here? It's tight. The top is blunt. So go ahead, grab it, Kate. Okay, feel it. Okay, so right here, this one's ready, lady. Okay, I got it. Okay. Yep, that's a good one.
Hey, lady, what are you doing?
I'm in the garden.
Ready to go. Okay. You can tell this one's not ready. You know what? See how this is.
So we got about 80 dozen ears of corn here. Now we're gonna go to my grandpa's house and finish processing this. After you have the corn picked, the next step is to shuck it.
What makes this real special, more than icing on the cake, is doing it together as a family.
Jacob, is there any tricks to shucking?
Not really. I mean, I guess if you just peel one end off, then you get exposed, then you can get the other end off, and then break it off, just like that. Don't go one at a time.
Then when we're shucking, we have someone with a knife cutting off any bad parts. The next step is to silk it. Silking is when you remove the silk off of the corn or the little strings that's on it. How do you silk corn, Mom?
We get a washcloth that's down and we start rubbing it against the corn and taking the silk off. So we're going to start working all this silk out of here.
So why do you want to silk it?
Because you would end up with that in your corn. It would be all stringy and it's just not good.
Okay, after you got your corn picked, shucked, cleaned, and silked, the next step is to cook it. And I have my mom here to help with how you process corn after you got it all cleaned. What you'll want to do is you'll get a big pot of boiling water, and then you stick your corn in a bag. We like to use a pillowcase or a flour bag, and you'll put, it depends on how big your pot is, but maybe 20 ears at a time. And you stick it in the boiling water. We use like a ladle to push the corn down to make sure it all gets under the water, and you'll want to boil it for about 5 minutes.
After that, kind of leave the end of the sack kind of hanging out of the boiling water so that you have a handle to grab onto and it doesn't burn your hand. The next thing that you will do is you will have a big tub of ice water. So you're going to pull the bag of corn out, let all the water drain out of the bag, and then you're going to dump that bag of corn into this cold ice water.
So putting the corn in ice water serves two functions. First, it makes it so it's cool enough to handle, because the next step is to cut the corn off the cob. It also serves the purpose of what we call setting the milk. What does it mean to set the milk, Mom?
Corn has a lot of juices in it. You've basically cooked it, and we don't want to lose those juices. We want the juices to stay in that kernel so that you have a nice, sweet kernel of corn. If you don't set the milk, those juices will leave and you get kind of a flat kernel, and it's not as tasty.
So after you have your corn cooked and cooled, the next step is to cut the corn off the cob. Mom, what tips do you have for cutting corn off the cob?
Keep your fingers down to the side, the corn up, because you just slide off. Make one clean, straight cut. Don't jag it. One clean, straight cut, and it just is nice and beautiful.
Okay, when you are cutting your corn, you want a super sharp knife. How do you sharpen a knife, Dan?
You know, I wanted to go to the professionals. I went to Safeway and asked one of the meat cutters, what do you do to have your knife sharp? Because that's what you use all day. And he showed me this little thing you go and buy it at Tractor Supply. And I watched him how to sharpen knives. And this is how you do it. And he touches it up every hour. I watched him there.
Hey Mom, no one's helping me.
Very simple.
So you don't want to be cutting your corn with a dull knife. This does not work with a dull knife.
Does not work. Don't cut your fingers. That's the trouble with a sharp knife.
After you have the corn cut off the cob, the next step is to bag it. So what we use for bagging corn is a vacuum sealer. In the past, we used to just put the corn in a Ziploc bag and put some water with it, but over the years, we've transitioned from doing that. We've found that by using a vacuum sealer instead of just a Ziploc bag, it preserves a lot of the nutrients, it makes it taste better, and it helps us stay fresh longer. So what tips do you have for when you bag it with the vacuum sealer?
We use a funnel to keep the bag open. We put a scoop of corn down in the bag. You do not want to get corn milk around the top of the bag because it will affect the way it seals with the vacuum sealer. And so we always wipe it, and then we have one person bagging and we have another person vacuum sealing them. Make sure you write the date for your corn on the bag before you fill it. And it helps you to recycle your food. You want to keep it recycled. And so always date your bags.
This year, we use this vacuum pack machine. We have upgraded for next year, and we are going to use this vacuum pack machine. So once you get it all packed, you'll get a beautiful bag of corn that looks like this. I'm going to let my mom tell you how to cook it.
Cooking the corn is super easy. All you need is a double boiler pan. Basically, you get the water boiling in the pan. You have your pan on the top. You get the whole frozen bag of corn, set it on top. Steam comes up. Steam is hotter than boiling water, and it will cook that corn. You'll pull that bag of corn out. It will cook inside the bag. Cut the top of the bag. Pour that bag out. Put a little bit of butter and salt and pepper on it, and you got yourself a yummy meal right there with that corn.
How long do you cook it?
You're lucky if it's 5 minutes. You're lucky. You might just turn it over a little bit to make sure the steam's getting the different sides of your bag of corn. It doesn't take very long once you get that boiling water and that steam coming up.
Okay, we hope you enjoyed our video about how to pick, process, preserve, and prepare corn. If you do your corn this way, you're going to have fresh tasting corn all year round. We opened this corn up a year later and it tastes just like we picked it off the cob. Well, thanks so much for watching our video. Bye.